All right, we are going to do the loft exercise now, and it is part of the Part Design Using Part Studios lesson, I guess you would call it, or course as they call it. And it's very important that you watch the two videos that lead up to it, the loft and reference plane, so you know what's going on when they ask you to do those. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click over here on next page. It says create a new document. Be sure that the workspace length unit is set to millimeters. Begin a sketch on the top plane. This will be the bottom profile sketch. Okay, so I'm going to go over here, and I actually did already start a document called Loft. I got cut off, my internet cut off while I was making the video the first time, so whatever. So we're going to start a new sketch on the top plane by hovering over the top plane, right-clicking, selecting New Sketch. And now I'm going to go ahead and hide the planes by right-clicking on one of the planes and clicking on Hide All Planes. I'm going to hit the N key so I can have a normal view. And let's start our sketch. Let's see what they want us to do here. Okay, it says sketch a rectangle whose center is coincident to the origin. Sketch two arcs as shown. So I'm going to go over here now. One of the things that I'd noticed that people didn't realize from a couple of the earlier lessons is that there's another variant of the rectangle. This is the corner rectangle. This one's called the center point rectangle. So instead of specifying the two corners, you're selecting the middle of the rectangle and then you just draw it out. Okay, that's really good if you need your rectangle to be centered on something. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and I'm going to make a couple three-point arcs across the top and bottom. I'm going to click one corner, click the other corner, get it to about there, and then on the bottom I'm going to do the same. I'm going to click here, about there, seems good. And I'm going to hit escape to get out of that tool. All right, the next step is to make the two horizontal lines of the rectangle construction lines. Add a sketch fillet of 8.5 millimeters to all four corners, and add an equal sketch constraint between the two arcs. Tripping over my tongue this afternoon. All right, so we're going back here, and I'm going to select both of these lines. You notice I don't have any tools selected, so I'm going to click on each line, and then I'm going to hit Q for construction. All right, and then I'm going to add some corner fillets. So I'm going to hit escape and get out of the tool I'm in currently. And then you've got the sketch fillet. Now, this is different than the fillets that we do to the 3D geometry that already exists outside the sketch. Here, you click on your sketch fillet, click the corner that you want this fillet on, and then cannot add sketch fillet. Oh, what happened to my construction lines? Well, I think when I unselected the tool, I actually switched it back, so that's my bad. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to select those two lines again, make them into construction lines once again. Now I'm going to get my sketch fillet tool, get out of construction mode, click on the corner, and then you notice that it shows the mouse with a green checkbox next to the left button. You just click it, and then you can enter in the value that you want. 8.5 was the value that I want. I'm going to do that on all four corners. So I'm going to click, and it's already set at 8.5, so that's kind of convenient. Click, and then hit enter, and one last one, click, and hit enter. Okay, now it wants me to do an equal constraint between the top and bottom arc, so I'm going to hit equal, click the top arc, click the bottom arc, and now we have equal constraints. Okay, let's go back to the instructions and go to the next slide. And they want us to dimension from the ends of the construction lines are going to be 100. The space between them will be 40. And then the radius of the arcs will be 200. Okay, I'm going to move this up where I can still see it so I can refer back to it. I'm going to get my dimension tool. I'm going to start with the length of this line. So now I've noticed a lot of people would go and click this dot and then click this dot, but if you're just dimensioning, if there's a line that connects the two dots, you can just click on the line itself. Save yourself a little hassle. And I'm going to make that 100. And then I'm going to, now I am going to click both this line and this line and make that 40. Now I notice there is a sketch underneath my sketch. I do not know what that's all about, guys. I think that has something to do with me losing my internet connection. So I'm going to go over here and make it hidden, and then I'll go back and delete that later. So yeah, I did have this issue where the internet went out on me and it acting funky. All right, so the radius of my arcs is supposed to be 200. So I'm going to click on one of them and make it 200. And now we are fully constrained. All right, let's bring back our instructions. And the instructions on the next slide tell us to rename the, okay, we're supposed to actually accept our sketch and rename it bottom profile. Okay, so let's click the little pencil tool, call it bottom profile, and then hit the green checkbox. Okay, and I'm going to go into an isometric view. There it is. Okay, so part designed using Part Studios. Let's see, what are we doing here next? Okay, now what we're going to do is create a new reference plane. Okay, and we're going to offset the new reference plane from the top plane with an offset distance of 50 millimeters. And rename the new reference plane middle profile plane. Okay, so let's go back to our Part Studio. I'm going to unhide the top. I'm going to right click on it, and you can see the second choice is offset plane. I'm going to click that, change that to 50. I'm going to rename it, I forgot what I was supposed to name it, middle something, middle profile plane. Okay, I'm going to click here and call it the middle profile plane. And bingo. Okay, so we've created a new plane that's parallel to the top plane, and then is offset by exactly 50 millimeters. And you'll see why this is important as we move on. Okay, so now we're going to create a new sketch on the middle profile plane and sketch an ellipse. Be sure that the center of the ellipse is coincident to the origin and then the major axis is horizontal. This will be the loft's middle profile. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to create a new sketch by right-clicking on our new offset plane. I'm going to hit N for normal view. And you can still see the other sketch down there, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And we're going to create an ellipse, which you can actually find under the circle menu down at the bottom. So we'll click that. We'll start it by being coincident with the origin. And we're going to bring that dude out a little bit and click. Okay. Next, whoops, I forgot, for an ellipse you got to click twice. There we go. One's to set the width and one's to set the height, but we're going to change all those anyways. All right. In the next slide, we're going to dimension that. The height is 45, the width is 80. So you can notice that we can actually do that by leaving the tool, hitting escape. And I believe that if I hit my dimensions, I can click on this, and by coming up, I can do the width, and then by clicking on it and going out, I can do the height. And let me double check those. 45 and 80, yep. Okay, and it wants us to rename the sketch middle profile and accept the sketch. Okay, so we're going to call this middle profile. It's a good idea to rename things so you can keep track. It gets really challenging when all this stuff is just called sketch 1, sketch 2, sketch 3, that kind of stuff. It can be really confusing at times. Okay, so let's look at our isometric view now. Oh, and look at this. We've got a shape above our shape. Sweet. All right, now we are going to create another one that is offset from the top plane a distance 125 millimeters. I'm going to call it top profile plane. So I'm going to go back to my top plane, click offset offset plane again. This time it's 125. And we are going to rename this top profile plane. Top profile plane. It definitely helps you stay organized when you have things like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I imagine, is make a sketch on there. And we're going to sketch a circle. And the center of the circle is going to be coincident with the origin. Okay, great. So let's start a sketch by hovering over that plane, selecting New Sketch. I'm going to hit N to get a normal view. I'm going to go back over here and select my center point circle. Click on the origin and make a little circle. All right, I'm going to hit Escape to get out of that tool. And they want us to make it a diameter of 40. Rename it Top Profile and accept the sketch. Okay, so let's start off with the dimension of 40. And then we are going to rename it Top Profile and accept it. And you can kind of see what we're building here. We're building the cross sections of our loft here. So now we are going to use the Loft command, and we're going to click on all three profiles from bottom to top. It's important the order that you do this. This adds sketch region to the profile selection in the dialog box and creates the Loft feature. Okay, so here's our Loft feature. Click on it, and we're going to select first this sketch, then this sketch, then this sketch. And it creates a nice smooth shape between them. And okay, I'll just double check in to make sure it doesn't say accept it yet. But yeah, it never told us to accept it, but I'm assuming we have to do that. And we're going to rename it Bottle. Okay, so we're going to click that, and we're going to call our part. We're going to rename it by right-clicking, rename, calling it Bottle. All right. What is next? Hint, the appearance has been changed using the Edit Appearance in the right-click menu. Okay. Right-click on the bottle and the parts and assign material. We're going to assign the material HDPE, which is high-density polyethylene. It's a plastic. So let's right-click over here, assign material, and it is HDPE, and there it is, high-density polyethylene. Click the green checkbox to accept that. And let's see, now we're going to get the mass. And we'll click the mask tool. Let's hide all the planes so it looks pretty. There we go. Look at that thing. Click on the mask. Click on the part. Looks like it's 314 grams plus a bit extra. So we will go to the next page. Begin the self-check 314, 212. See results. Oh yes, it is good. All right, well, that is it, and good luck with that.